Well, it's about 12:30. Been sitting here trying to figure out what else I could do to get ready. It's super dark on here. And yeah, I got lost trying to find some of the stuff I was gonna go pick up. But I think I got everything ready. I got some water pre-boiled. See this? Pre-boiled water. All I gotta do is turn it on. It's still steaming. As soon as I get that phone call, I got the charcoal, got the mint oil just in case she's got a headache. That's about it. I got everything ready to go. Just waiting for a phone call to go pick her up. And yeah, I'm excited. Excited to get her back and start taking care of her. And yeah, that's my husband blog number 1 on the surgery trip. Alright.
Okay, this is morning number 2 post-op. I had surgery on Tuesday. Today is Thursday. I had to stay in the city where I had the surgery. I'm gonna go in here. Yeah, we stayed in Vancouver just so that we would be close to the hospital in case anything went wrong. I'm just gonna show you. This is revealing, but whatever. This is what I'm looking like. I still have all like the hospital kind of, what is it? I don't know. The solution that they put on you. I haven't showered yet, which is kind of gross to admit, but I will shower. So I'm looking really swollen. I had 6 incisions, which the standard of care for incisions for a lap, I think, is 3. I had 3 last time, so 6 feels like a lot more incisions. So I did, I wound up having 2 ovarian suspensions when I truly was only preparing for 1. And so that's been a lot. It was unexpected to have both ovaries suspended. I did also have my right fallopian tube completely removed. It had a major hydrosalpinx, which is basically where the fallopian tube has kind of blown up and swollen up like a balloon and is filled with old congealed blood. So they had to take it out because it was extremely damaged. Just on the road to recovery now, you know. It's definitely been a really long journey, so I'm really glad to be post-op and heading home, and I will update more about how the actual surgery day was and everything once I get home. If I'm honest, I really never thought I was going to talk about this on YouTube. It has taken me a while to fully come to terms with what has happened, and I have felt really nervous to talk about it publicly because I don't want to let anybody down by my story, and I'm let down, and so I just don't know how others are gonna feel. I know some of you that follow me are struggling with infertility or maybe blocked tubes or something similar to me because that's how you found me, and I've been nervous to say this because I don't want you to hold on to my story as hope for your story and then hear my story and be let down. So I'm gonna talk about it, and I'm hoping that this doesn't trigger any of you. If you are sensitive to bad news right now, then just don't watch this. Maybe save it for another time or skip over it. There's definitely times of the month for me where I'm really susceptible to bad news and I can get quite emotional about it. So yeah, this is kind of a bad news story time. I'm gonna be honest. What has happened, I never expected to happen. So yeah, I'm just gonna jump right in. I went to Vancouver and I had a second laparoscopic surgery for excision of endometriosis. Now, I had had an initial consultation appointment with the surgeon who was doing my surgery probably 6 months before the actual surgery During that consultation, she did an ultrasound and an internal exam, and she told me that she definitely thought that there was potentially a spot of endometriosis that was attaching my right ovary to the pelvic wall, and that was maybe what was causing my pain. She said she could see this in ultrasound, which surprised me because other doctors say you can't see it on ultrasound, but that's how she diagnosed me in our consultation. Because the surgery was in Vancouver and it was so extensive, I did have to stay there for a few days after the surgery. That's because I live hours away and it wouldn't have been good to travel immediately after surgery. So I signed all the consent forms. We're in the hospital. We have a hotel. We get all settled. The next morning is my surgery. We go there. I'm, just kind of waiting. My husband and I were waiting together. And then we had to go our separate ways. So they gave me, the different medications, and they did their checklist with me. And my nurses were lovely. I had a really nice experience with the nurses. I find that nurses are just amazing. They are just the best. If you're lucky to get a good nurse, then I think you're really lucky, because you're in a really fragile state. You're very vulnerable when you're naked in your little hospital gown, or you're just waking up from anesthesia. So I answered all of the nurses' questions. They wheel me back to the room and I see my surgeon, and she tells me something that she's never said before. And she said, if they have to do a salpingectomy, then I've already signed the consent forms for that. And I was just thinking, like, a salpingectomy, like, what the hell is that word? Like, repeat that, please. And she said, it's where they take your fallopian tube out. And I just was kind of shocked. I felt like stunned for a second, kind of like, why would we need to do that? Like, what are you talking about? I'd never heard that before. So I'm thinking the whole time that this surgery is to get an ovarian suspension placed, which is where it's kind of like a fishing line. They hang it around your ovary to hold your ovary away from the pelvic wall after they cut it out of the pelvic wall. Sorry, TMI, but this whole video is TMI, but that's what it is. It's so that when they do the surgery and they cut it all away, if they were just to leave it in there, it would just stick right back on. Like, how the body scabs, essentially. It would just attach right to itself right where it was. So they have to hang it away so the skin, not really skin, but the tissue on the inside can heal and they won't stick back together. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'm thinking I'm gonna have one of those, and it's gonna be so intense and I'm gonna need to stay for days, right? Okay, so now she's telling me that potentially I'm having a salpingectomy. It depends, like, I've signed the consent forms because if they get in there and they determine, yes, that does need to be done, then they already have the permission to do it. She's told me that it was like less than 5% chance that she would need to, but sometimes when they see adhesions and endometriosis like I had, that is an option. And she also said that if I ever did want to do IVF, I would have to have that done if I had a hydrosalpinx. If I had a sick tube, then I would need to get it removed in order to do IVF successfully, or to improve the odds of IVF. If you remove the fallopian tube, if it has a hydrosalpinx, then you have a greater chance of success with IVF. Anyway, basically she's explaining it like, if you have a sick tube, it needs to come out. And I just thought that was really surprising. And so I'm thinking, like, and then I just remember kind of going through that mental process of like, wait, taking something out? Like, I don't remember talking about taking something out. I don't want to have anything taken out. I was just really kind of thrown off. That felt like a huge curveball, but I was going with it because I'm realizing, like, this is a specialized doctor who knows what she's talking about. And it makes a lot of sense what she's saying. Like, if there's endometrial tissue in your fallopian tube that's making it sick, it's just going to keep pumping that sickness around. And so we wake up from surgery. Well, let's go back. So we talk to the surgeon. They wheel me into the room. They give me the gas and they tell me, count backwards from 10 and take deep breaths. And I'm totally the kind of person, like, I don't get scared of anesthesia. I just breathe it in like as deep as I can, like, make this shit work fast. And then I woke up and I remember that immediately after surgery, I wanted to talk to the surgeon. I was just like, where is she? What happened? Like, I need to know what happened. And there she was. She came to my bedside and she told me both of my ovaries were attached to the pelvic wall. So I had 2 ovarian suspensions, which that was hell. Like, I'll be straight up honest with you, that sucked. So she tells me that, and then she tells me that 100% chance I need IVF. I will never conceive naturally. And she told me that because she said that while my left tube was open, it was like the tube itself was clear, and fluid can get through, but that the end, the fimbriae, so at the end there's these little kind of like finger-like things. They're very tiny around your ovary, and it's kind of like what helps to suck the egg into the tube, and mine are all stuck together. They don't work. They're never gonna work again, basically. And then on the right side, she told me that the adhesions had completely encased the fallopian tube, and in order to cut it out, they had to take the tube. So they did that, and they took my fallopian tube out. So I have an ovary, and they were able to detach it from the wall, but it was very damaged in the process, unfortunately. And so I have 1 tube on the left side, and it doesn't work, and it is clear, but it doesn't work. And she did say that, she did say that it could catch an egg potentially, like miraculously, but there's so much endometriosis and scar tissue and just like overall damage in my uterus now, and all around my uterus. It's really not likely. So she found the majority of my endometriosis on the back side of my uterus. It's not on my bowels or my bladder, which I'm so lucky for that. So many women have it in other places. I got really lucky. It was very kind of condensed to certain areas, like big patches in certain areas. I do have photos from my surgery, but it's so graphic that I don't want to just put that up in the middle of a story time video. So I could make another video that's, more medical talk and more of, the actual procedure and everything and the details of the procedure. I know some people are really interested in that, and I was when I was looking for these kinds of videos online. So I'm willing to share that. I just didn't want to like put it in everybody's face right in this video. The healing from this surgery was, it was fucking brutal. I had 2 ovarian suspensions, which they take the fishing line out 1 week post-op. So you have to find another surgeon who a week later, like closer to where you live, will take them out for you. When I got home from the surgery, I was 3 or 4 days post-op. I was taking the medications regularly, and I had one night, which was the first night after surgery, where I couldn't sleep because of the pain, where it was really, really bad. They did a lot of excision, so they didn't cauterize anything. They did excision surgery, so they fully were, cutting everything out of me. So, it was bad. The recovery was really hard. I struggled initially with the pain, and then when they took the suspensions out, the actual procedure itself, like you just go to the doctor's office and they snip the fishing line and pull it out, and it goes like down it goes like around the tube. I don't even know, man. It's craziness. It was so weird, but I actually didn't feel anything. It was not painful at all. Like, you couldn't feel it. It was so strange. Anyway, so they took the suspensions out. I was a week post-op at that point. I would say it wasn't until a couple of weeks later that I started to notice that I was really gaining weight. And I attributed it at the time. When I say really gaining weight, what I really mean is, like, I'm 5'2", so if I gain 5 pounds or 10 pounds, it's pretty noticeable on my frame. And that's kind of what I was feeling. I was noticing none of my clothes were fitting, and that was a really uncomfortable feeling, like trying to stuff yourself post-op into jeans and shit that don't fit. I don't recommend it. I decided I'm gonna show respect and love to my body, and I'm gonna size up, and that's what I started doing. I wear 1 size bigger now, and there's no problem with that. It took me probably a good month or so to really wrap my head around the fact that I like lost an organ, and I'm never gonna grow a fallopian tube back. Like, it's gone. And then I grieved all over again, the infertility stuff, and feeling so sad that my life didn't get to be what I wanted it to be, and it was such a complicated time. So that's this story. Thanks for listening to me ramble. That's all for now. Thanks so much for watching. I super appreciate your support watching my channel and liking and subscribing. It means the world to me. So I will catch up with you soon. Bye.